Hello, welcome to the Regional Admission Counselors of California Virtual College Fair. Thank you for joining us. A few quick housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. Your cameras and microphones are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. This is just one of many different sessions happening. There's one coming up next hour as well, so be sure to sign up if you haven't done so already at the same place you signed up for this one. This presentation is being recorded. It'll be available within about a week at strivescan.com/RACC, R-A-C-C. Very quickly, this is a 6x6 session, which means 6 schools presenting for 6 minutes each. Now, we only have 5 schools actually scheduled for this, but each will go for 6 minutes. You cannot possibly learn all you want to learn about a school within 6 minutes. It's, I would say, virtually impossible. This is just to whet your appetite so you can get enough information to see if you have initial interest, and you can follow up with each of the schools that you're interested in and get much more in-depth information from them through meetings and virtual tours and that sort of thing. So I've gotten the housekeeping stuff out of the way. I'm going to step out of the way now and turn it over to our first school, Georgia Tech.
Hi, everybody. Go ahead and get my slides up. How many times have we heard that during the pandemic? So my name is Ashley Brookshire, and I'm Georgia Tech's Regional Director of Admission for the West Coast. And I'm really excited to share some information about tech with you this evening. I think starting out looking at some big picture stats, we fit right in that mid to large size public university category with about 16,000 undergrads. Even though we're public, we are about 40% out of state, so a really sizable out of state population. And our students are studying across 6 different colleges. Having technology in our name, I'm sure you already assumed we have engineering, computing, sciences, and those are absolutely 3 of our largest colleges. But we have intentionally smaller programs as well in business and design and liberal arts. And there is a lot of interdisciplinary study happening at Georgia Tech. Our students regularly are taking classes in areas outside of their major, pursuing minors in those fields, doing research and other areas of interest too. I think our motto, though, really unites us across all 6 colleges, and that's progress in service. This idea that we should be intentionally interacting with the world around us and looking for ways to make things better and faster and stronger and more accessible. At the same time, that has to be coupled with a service mindset, with an understanding of who it's going to be impacting, how can we leverage this to do the most good to improve the human condition. So progress in service is really at the core of all things at Georgia Tech, regardless of your field of study. And one of my favorite programs that really speaks to this idea of progress in service is the Inventure Prize. It's an annual undergraduate invention contest that we host every year. We'll have hundreds of students submit inventions, and then over the course of a few months, we'll work that down until we have 6 finalist teams. They take the stage in March. Usually it's in front of an auditorium with hundreds of individuals. This year we had it streamed, and hopefully we'll have that in-person component moving forward again. But they're really presenting to a panel of judges, experts, those who have been repeat players in the entrepreneurship process. And they're describing not just how their invention works, but why it matters and how it's going to, again, resonate with this idea of progress and service. So our winner this year was Aya. Aya is actually a Jordanian student studying with us at Georgia Tech in industrial design. She was looking at really specifically the homeless population and wanted to identify a way to not only help them meet basic needs, but also kind of restore some dignity into how they were operating. And so she decided to create this really nice jacket, a really stylish jacket, but it's also insulated and waterproof, and you can lay it flat and blow it up like an air mattress. And so she came up with Delta Jacket. She won our Inventure Prize last month, and that means she got 3 things from Georgia Tech: a check for $20,000 to use however she sees fit for her now new company, a guaranteed free seat in a startup business incubator that we have at Georgia Tech, and then we're going to help her file that patent. We're going to pay for that process. We'll make our legal team available to her throughout that time, but at the end of the day, Aya retains full intellectual property rights over what she's developed. And again, that idea of progress and service, I think, is something that you're going to find in a lot of different programs at Georgia Tech. The Inventure Prize, though, is one of my favorite. We also have a lot of students that are looking to apply their degree outside the classroom. You're going to hear a lot probably tonight and at every point in your college search process about study abroad, internship, research. So I'm not saying we're unique because we have those programs. Most colleges do. I think what's unique is the depth and breadth of these opportunities. So starting with study abroad. Most of our students are studying STEM majors. Most of our students also have an international experience. Over half of our students study abroad. And one of the ways that we're able to really incentivize this is the fact that all of our disciplines have study abroad programs. So you can take that engineering and computing coursework outside of the US, but also for out-of-state students, you're going to pay much closer to in-state tuition rates for those semesters. So it'll actually be a really affordable option for you. About 80% of our students do internships or co-ops, so those opportunities are abundant. And then we are a top-tier research institute as well. Last year, we crossed the threshold of over $1 billion of research-generated funding. And so these are all really ample opportunities on our campus. And if that's something that you're looking for in your college experience, you would not be alone at Georgia Tech. And then lastly, I want to hit on our physical setup. We're a very traditional 400-acre campus plopped in the middle of a major city. One of the benefits of being founded in the late 1800s is that Atlanta didn't exist. So we were really able to carve out our footprint and then watch the city develop around us. We love being in the city. It's a tremendous place for business opportunities. It's one of the top concentrated cities in the country for Fortune 500 company presence. Our campus itself is touching the headquarters for Coca-Cola, NCR, as well as Turner Broadcasting. But it's also just a fun place to be. There is always something to do in Atlanta, and our students go, they take advantage of that. But at the end of the day, when you come back on campus, it feels quieter. You lose that hustle and bustle sense of the city, and we really like both aspects of that kind of physical setup. And then lastly, just wanted to leave you with some ways to get in touch and learn more about Georgia Tech. You can see the QR code for our view book, as well as how to use social media resources to find us. Our director also has a blog. So if you head to the main admission website, you'll find that information. And it's really intended to be a resource for anybody going through the college admission process, not just for students looking at Georgia Tech. So that's something that I would encourage you to check out. So thank you so much for your time. I'm glad you're here. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and toss it over to one of my colleagues.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to remind all of our attendees that you can use the Q&A to ask questions at any time. If it's for a specific school, just name the school in your question so they know it's for them. Up next, let's hear from Texas A&M University.
All righty, howdy everyone. My name is Kimberly Berry. I am the regional advisor for out here in California. I'm in Los Angeles, so I'm happy to share with you guys about Texas A&M. So Texas A&M is a very large institution. We are the largest university in the nation at the moment, with almost 70,000 students enrolled at Texas A&M. But I always tell students, even though we're so large, you're still able to find your place in Aggieland. We're known as one of the friendliest campuses in the nation as well. And whether that's joining an organization like this young gentleman is in the Corps of Cadets, you can tell by his uniform, or just joining an organization that pertains to your major or just specific interests like the Cupcake Club or the Crocs Club. You can find your space in Texas A&M's community. We love football. If you didn't know, we love all kinds of sports, whether we're winning or whether we run out of time. We never lose, right? We just run out of time. But it's a great way for us to enjoy each other as an Aggie family. We say every home football game is like a homecoming because Aggies and alumni love to come back home to enjoy those football game days together. These are a few fun pictures that I love about Texas A&M. And the one in the middle is very fun for me because this young gentleman says not even 1,500 miles can keep the 12th man away. And so the 12th man is the fan base of Aggieland, of Texas A&M. And he's saying that not even that many miles could keep him away. And me being in Los Angeles and us being in California, that's about as far away as we are from College Station, where Texas A&M is housed. And he's saying not even that distance can keep him away from coming to the game. But these are just a few fun pictures of what a game day looks like. There's a lot of tailgating. We also have the cavalry with the corps that comes down and showcases about 60 horses in parade style on game day. Texas A&M is also very big on service. And so we love to give back to our community, especially the Bryan College Station area. And this picture that you see here is a resemblance of the big event that we house every year. One day where about 15,000 students go out and serve the Bryan College Station area just to say thank you for allowing us to be in their community, taking up their parking spaces and their grocery stores and just taking up a lot of space. This this is our way of saying thank you, whether that's painting at our elderly's home, cleaning shrubbery in their backyard, whatever may need to be done. On this day, we Aggies as students go out and we serve in that capacity. Texas A&M is also big on traditions, and this is one of my favorite traditions. So it's one of the most somber ones. And this tradition here is called Bonfire Remembrance. We used to build a large bonfire to play against our rival school, the one that starts with a U, ends with a T, in a little town in Austin. We would build this bonfire each year before our game against them to get riled up and ready to play them and win. But one year in the 1990s, that bonfire did collapse, and we lost 12 Aggies in that collapse. And so this tradition, each pillar that you see represents one of those Aggies, and each year we come back on the anniversary on November 2nd at 2 o'clock in the morning, just to remember those Aggies that we lost. And this helps remind me that even though we're a large school with over 70,000 students enrolled, you're not just a number. You are valued as part of the family of the Aggie family. So this is one of my favorite traditions at Texas A&M. Texas A&M is also a Tier 1 research institution. So if you're wanting to get some research experience, this is a great place to do it. And we don't just reserve that for our upperclassmen. If you're wanting to get your hands dirty early on your freshman year, you're able to do that at Texas A&M. And one last resemblance of Texas A&M is our Aggie ring. So it is the best symbol that we have that showcases your degree on your hand. I can't tell you how many times my Aggie ring has been recognized all over the world in my travels and studies around the world. But it's a great way for you to connect with other Aggies. And it's also, they say if you're in an interview and an Aggie is on the other side of that interview table, 90% chance that's your job, because we love to help out our Aggie family. So the Aggie ring is a symbol basically of your degree at Texas A&M, and it's what students look forward to the most when they attend Texas A&M, is earning that Aggie ring. So how do we stack up? We have over 10 academic colleges for students to choose from, with over 130 undergraduate degrees. So many different majors that you can choose from, ranging from agriculture and life sciences to zoology. So whatever your interests are, we will have it at Texas A&M. And the way that we're going to look at you for admission at Texas A&M is going to be 3-tier holistic review. We're going to look at your academic achievement, including your high school classes, grades in high school, the coursework that you've taken, as well as your non-academic factors such as extracurricular activities, and any unique or challenging hardships that you might have faced. That's going to be reflected in your essay, because we want to see that you're resilient, ready, willing to get up when you've been knocked down. Our application requirements are going to take the application itself, the essay, the fee waiver, test scores, which are optional this year, as well as your self-reported academic record. And our application opens in July. It'll close December 1st. And then we'll also need the required documents by December 15th, and you'll let us know that you're coming by May 1st. And that's all I have for you guys today. This is my contact information. If you guys have any questions after today, don't hesitate to reach back out to me. And next, I'll pass it on to my colleagues at Drexel.
Very quickly, I will remind everyone that they can ask questions using the Q&A, and also to keep an eye out on the chat, because that's where representatives may be sending you information like contact info and links and that sort of thing. Up next, we will hear from Drexel University.
Thanks so much. Hi, everyone. As you've heard, I work with Drexel University. My name is Cheryl Tevlin. I'm an associate director at the university. Drexel is a large private Tier 1 research university located right in Philadelphia. So Pennsylvania, East Coast school, and we are very much a city school. So we are about 20 blocks away from the City Hall. So 25-30 minute walk away, very close. City streets run through our campus, but we are residential too. Students are required to live on campus their first 2 years. It's very easy to get around campus. We don't need shuttles to get to classes or anything like that. It takes about 15 minutes to walk from one side of campus to the other. So very manageable size. One final note about where we're located in the city. Our neighborhood is called University City because we're one of 3 universities universities there. The University of Pennsylvania is directly across the street from us, and then the University of the Sciences of Philadelphia is on the other side of Penn's campus. So altogether, there are about 40,000 college-age students in our neighborhood. So it's like a college town plunked down in the middle of Philadelphia. Our undergraduate population makes up close to 15,000 of those undergraduate students in the area. But as you'll see on your screen, our median class size and our student to faculty ratio are a lot smaller than what you might anticipate from a school of our size. That's very intentional. We do a lot of hands-on project-based learning, which means that you can't be in a large lecture all of the time. You can't have that real participatory feature to your education if you're in a lecture hall with 200 other people. So you might have 1 or 2 large lectures your first year, but that's really going to be it. All of our programs are direct entry. So if you know what you want to study, you can apply directly to that major, and you'll start taking classes in that program from the very start. We don't front load your general education classes. You start taking classes in your major at the beginning. If you're not sure what you want to study, great. We have wonderful undeclared and exploratory study programs that are options for you. Now, when I talk about experiential education, I just want to give you a little bit of an understanding why we do that. So the idea behind experiential education is that you are actively involved. You are not a bystander in your education. You're not just learning by listening to your professors and reading textbooks. You're learning by doing as well. So that includes both classroom experiences, or outside classroom experiences too, but related to a specific course that you're taking. That also comes through in our co-op program. So co-op at Drexel is a 6-month break from your classes where you are working in your field of interest, often in a full-time paid job. Over 80% of co-ops are paid. They are located all around the world. We've had this co-op program for over 100 years. And so at this point, we've built up over 1,500 different employer partners that we work with, where students can go and get experience everywhere from Tesla and Google to SpaceX and Pixar, BlackRock, JP Morgan. We've had students at the Pentagon, the FBI, the CIA, NASA, just amazing experiences that you can get so that you can do several things. You're trying out your area of interest to make sure it's actually what you want to do. And if not, you have time to come back to campus and change your major. It's giving you the opportunity to build a strong connection in your industry. So you have a network in place. You're also building a strong resume. It also sets you up very well for success so that when you graduate, you know what you want. You have the resume to back it up, whether you're looking at grad school, med school, law school, or going directly into the work world. We are on a quarter system at Drexel. In a year that you have a co-op, you would do 2 quarters of co-op and then 2 quarters of classes, or vice versa. We have a 4-year program with 1 co-op, 5-year program with 3 co-ops, so you're getting 18 months of experience. The great thing about that 5-year program is it's not an extra year of tuition. You only pay tuition when you're in classes. You have the same number of class quarters in both of those options. So it's an extra year of time because of your co-op experiences. It's an extra year where you're potentially being paid for those work experiences, but it's taking the 4-year tuition rate and just spreading it out over an extra year, which can actually be a little bit easier from a financial standpoint. And then going back to those outcomes I was talking about a minute ago, our students are very successful with getting jobs, getting into grad school, and then doing things within their field, which is important. They're not just getting a job at a coffee shop. They're doing something related to their studies. And they're also satisfied in their job. Talk to adults around you. Ask if they were satisfied with their first job out of college. Most of the time, the answer is going to be no. Our students are in a much different position because of the experiences they've already had. Outside of the classroom, outside of co-op experiences, we have so much going on campus. I mentioned students have to live on campus their first 2 years, so that does build a very strong community at Drexel, and students are really involved. It's unusual to meet a Drexel student who's not doing something outside of the classroom. So we have tons of clubs and organizations. We are Division I for sports. We have performing arts and Greek life. We're also very involved in community service. Actually, all students take a class their first year called Civic Engagement 101 that talks about issues within the community, how the students can make a positive difference, and that actually has a small community service requirement as well. So we don't just say we care about community service, we're actually involved all of the time in making a difference in and around Philadelphia. And then finally, for the application process, we're on the Common Application and Coalition Application. We do full holistic review, so we're not just looking at your transcripts, so they're important, but we're also looking at your activities, your essay, your letters of recommendation, maybe a portfolio if you're applying for an arts program. We want to see how you as a whole person are a good fit for Drexel and how we're a good fit for you. We are test optional for at least the next 2 years. We'll reevaluate evaluate after fall of 2023. And just note that all of our undergraduate programs, scholarships, honors program, research program are test optional. The only one that is not is our 8-year combined BA, BSMD program, because the med school requires test scores. Here's my contact information. I'll drop it in the chat, but now I will turn it back over to Russ.
Thank you very much. And again, I've noticed that some of the representatives have put things in the chat, so you can get the information there. And of course, you can ask questions of our representatives using the Q&A button. Up next, we will hear from Colorado State University.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Justin Smalley with Colorado State University in Fort Collins, Colorado. All right, I got the PowerPoint going. And so I am the Northern California admissions representative for Colorado State. And I also have a Southern California representative for CSU, and that is Elise Goodman. So there's her contact information. So my email address will be on this slide, and then Elise will be on this slide. So Colorado State University, we are located in a very cool college town called Collins, Colorado, which is 1 hour directly north of Denver. Denver will be right in the heart of Colorado. And then, so we're 60 miles north, about 30 miles south of the Wyoming border. And we are nestled right next to the foothills of the Rocky Mountains. So you'll have the eastern plains of the Rocky Mountain, or of the eastern plains of the US. And then boom, you've got the foothills of the Rocky Mountains. And then so outdoor recreation is a huge part of life for many of our students. We're about 60 miles away from Rocky Mountain National Park. Also just great access to whitewater rafting, camping, hiking, of course, skiing and snowboarding. The closest resorts are about 60 miles away. The major ski resorts in Colorado are about 2.5 hours away. So a lot of our students try to see how many days they can get in for skiing and snowboarding during the wintertime. Our Snow Riders Club is our largest student organization. They will provide transportation opportunities to the ski slopes. And also within Fort Collins, there's tons of biking trails on the streets and also throughout the town. Bicycling is definitely the most common mode of transportation. And Fort Collins, the population is about 165,000 people, which makes it the 4th largest city in Colorado right now. Not too big, not too small, very convenient, nurturing community, great place to go to school. The downtown area is very close to our campus, which lies on 500 acres right in the heart of Fort Collins. The landscape of our campus kind of has that Colorado nature feel, a lot of open spaces between the buildings, so a lot of green space for students to hang out and study. And also a lot of our buildings over the past 20 years have been built with recycled materials, which is really something that's put us on the map. We're a very sustainable green university, and we've been recognized for that. We have a very cool College of Natural Resources that takes on, we have 9 different majors within that college that take on different approaches to environmental science, things like forestry or watershed science, ecosystem science and sustainability, of course, geology. We have a mountain campus associated with that college where students can do natural field studies during their time in that college. Also, Colorado State, we are the 2nd largest public university in the state of Colorado, about 28,000 students. Some of our other well-known programs you've maybe heard, we are currently ranked 3rd in North America for our College of Veterinary Medicine. And because of that, we have strong undergraduate programs in the life, animal, and agricultural sciences, areas like zoology or animal science, equine science, also fish, wildlife, conservation biology. At the university, we're a very hands-on applied learning university, as we are a Carnegie One research university. So we want our students to get that hands-on learning experience, that research component. And so we do have over 250 programs of study. And all those programs will be housed in 8 different colleges. But total, we have 74 undergraduate majors that students can go into. Some of our more popular majors right now will be areas like health and exercise science, psychology, biology, business administration, engineering is up there, especially mechanical engineering, communication studies within the liberal arts, sociology. So a lot of different avenues to seek out. At Colorado State, our students are going to work hard inside the classroom, but we want our students to really learn as much outside the classroom during their time at Colorado State. So we do have over 500 student organizations, anything you can really think of, whether it's Greek life or religious affiliation groups, or our multicultural offices. Tons of activities taking place. Study abroad is huge. Performing arts. We are Division I NCAA in athletics. We compete against a lot of other Rocky Mountain universities. Some West Coast schools are in our conference, Fresno State, San Jose State, San Diego State, and also, yeah, our most beloved entity on our campus is our mascot, and we do have a real live Ram. We are the Colorado State Rams, and Cam the Ram will come to a lot of our athletic events and other alumni events where people can get their picture taken with Cam. So a lot of school spirits, and we really help out our alumni to really help them with that next step on going to find jobs. To apply to Colorado State, really you do need to apply with the common application. And we do a holistic review for admissions. I like to say if you have a solid B average coming out of high school, your chances of getting into Colorado State are very strong. We are a part of the Western Undergraduate Exchange Program, which offers a reduced tuition rate for California residents. The criteria can change from year to year. We have an academic criteria this year of a 3.3 high school GPA or better, and we will have other merit scholarships that will range from like $6,000 to $10,000. We are test optional this year, and we're looking to be test optional again for next school year. We just have to kind of wait for the Colorado legislature to decide on that, as we are a public university in the state of Colorado. Our students have good starting salaries when they get out. The average will be about $54,000. And then finally, wrapping up, if you want to check out any of our visits, we have a lot of virtual visits going on, and please feel free to reach out to myself and my colleague Elise on the chat box if you have any questions. Elise is helping answer some of those questions for me tonight. Thank you so much. Back to you, Russ.
Thank you very much. Again, questions can be asked in the Q&A box, and check out the chat for information that's coming your way. Up next, we will hear from DePaul University.
Thank you so much. All right, well, good evening, everyone. My name is Annie Mills, and I'm DePaul University's regional representative. I'm based in San Diego, and I work specifically with students in California, Nevada, Alaska, and Hawaii. DePaul is a private Catholic institution in the heart of the city of Chicago, Illinois, with an undergraduate population of about 14,500 students. So I'd call us medium plus in size. While we do have really big school resources, we're located in the third largest US city. Your academic experience at DePaul is going to be very personal by design. Our average class size is 22, and 90% of our classes have fewer than 40 students. Our student body at DePaul is very diverse and really reflects the diversity of our global community and certainly of our community in the city of Chicago. 40% of our students come to DePaul from out of state, with California leading the way, which of course I love. 44% of our freshmen are students of color, and 35% of our freshmen are the first in their family to earn a college degree. We are a Catholic school at DePaul, but the DePaul experience really is as Catholic as you choose to make it. We have students from over 40 different faith and non-faith backgrounds on campus. As you may have guessed, we were named for St. Vincent de Paul. He dedicated his life to ending cycles of poverty and social injustice, and we really aim to keep that Vincentian tradition alive. As a student at DePaul, we prepare you to think and act with others in mind, using higher education as a means to engage in cultural, social, religious, and ethical values in service to others. Now, students on our campus split their time between two campuses, actually, in the city of Chicago. Our Lincoln Park campus, which we call our urban neighborhood campus, has a traditional feel with a quad, 11 residence halls, a student center, and a big library. It's where you'd be most likely to see a student kind of rolling out of bed, throwing on a DePaul hoodie, and walking to class. A 15-minute ride away on public transportation is our campus in Chicago's financial district, called our Loop campus. Here, students are going to take elevators to class instead of walking across the quad, and they might look a little snazzier going to class in a blazer, maybe coming straight from an internship, job shadowing, or informational interview in the city. All of our students are going to take classes on both campuses. Academically, our students at DePaul pick from over 300 options. Some of our most popular programs are housed in our College of Business and in conservatory-style programs in theater and music. Our science and health-focused degrees are very strong, and we actually have accelerated options for students interested in medical-related professions that allow them to skip the medical admission test, depending on their program. And then the College of Computing and Digital Media is hands down our fastest growing school, and it's home to film and television, animation, and game design, some of our most popular options. We do have several honors programs at DePaul, a university-wide program, and specific programs for students in the business school and in health sciences. We do have a 3+3 option with our law school where students can graduate with a bachelor's degree and JD in 6 years instead of 7. If you're undecided and you like a lot of things, no worries. We're very double major and minor friendly across schools, and we really embrace change. As long as you are in good academic standing as a DePaul student, you can change your major at any time. Our students are really involved in campus. We have over 400 different clubs and organizations. Our students might cheer for NCAA Division I Blue Demons, play club or intramural sports, participate in outdoor adventure programs. They're involved in political, religious, and academically focused clubs. And then about 10% of our students are involved in fraternity and sorority life. In one afternoon, you can very easily attend theater and music productions on campus, meet with your campus club or organization, and then go sample the local fare with the pizza club. Which sounds good right about now. To help our students get used to the city, all of our freshmen take a seminar in their first quarter that we call the Chicago Quarter Class. They go on site visits, they explore the city using one of over 100 different topics as a lens. You could take a class about the Cubs, crime and politics in Chicago, improv in the city, art and public sculpture. In that last class, you'd go on group excursions to the Art Institute and the Bean, and you'd also get out of the neighborhoods where we're located. You'd explore murals in Tilson, get to know how the history of that community impacts the experience of its residents and the art they create. And then typically our students in that class design a mural of their own. The class is a great way to explore new neighborhoods, learn how to use the L and the buses, and get to know resources on campus like our Writing Center, Career Center, and our Center for Students with Disabilities. At DePaul, we're also really proud of our outcomes. 6 months after graduation, 91% of our students are employed or continuing their education. That is no accident, and it's due in large part to the fact that every student at DePaul is required to do experiential learning in their junior year. An internship, study abroad, or intensive community-based service learning project is it's kind of typical. And our Career Center is really active. You can meet with them one-on-one to practice interview skills, to explore a career community if you're undecided, to meet and network with alumni, or to connect with local employers who come to campus to actively recruit our students. If all of this sounds interesting to you, we'd love to have you apply when it's time for you on the Common Application. Like many of the other schools here, we use a holistic application review process, which means we'll look at your essay, resume, activity summary, and letters of recommendation in addition to your transcript and maybe a test score. We're proud to have been test optional for 10 years for admission decision, for our academic merit-based scholarships, and for our honors programs. We have no plans to change that. If you're considering DePaul, we really encourage you to think about how you want to highlight your strengths in the application. If a test score doesn't reflect who you are as a student, or maybe you don't have one, that's no problem. There are a ton of ways to connect with DePaul these days. There's so much more to tell you than what we covered here. I didn't even really mention housing, study abroad, the volunteer work our students do throughout Chicago. Reach out to me, let me know what would help you as you consider DePaul. I'm so excited that you're here, not only learning more about us, but all the other schools in the session. And I look forward to working with you over the coming year. So pop questions into the Q&A for me. And that is all for DePaul. Russ, back to you.
Thank you very much. And I'm going to invite all of our representatives to come back on camera and turn on their microphones. I get to play talk show host now in the remaining 10 minutes or so that we have here, and do a quick little round robin Q&A to get more information for all of our attendees. And the first question, and I'll have you answer in the same order that you presented, but the first question is, what one piece of advice would you give someone going through the college search process right now? And we will start with Georgia Tech.
Hi again. I think if we're being super detail oriented, when you see a deadline, don't treat that as the day you apply on, treat it as the very last day you apply by, right? At Georgia Tech, we will receive upwards of 75% of all of our applications in the 72 hours before that deadline. So if you have a last minute question, you want to talk to somebody on the phone, you want an email answered, the volume that we are working through in those last 3 days is going to mean that there's a delay in your response, right? If you're emailing me or any of my colleagues a week or 2 weeks ahead of the deadline, you're going to get an immediate response. And it's just a really great way to control an aspect that can be very stressful if you wait up until a deadline. So that would be my big tip, is look at deadlines and then maybe set some internal guides a little bit earlier for yourself.
Texas A&M.
Yeah, I would definitely echo what Ashley just mentioned. Not waiting until the deadline, especially for Texas A&M. We're on a rolling basis for admission, which means our colleges can fill up. So if you have a specific major in mind, applying earlier would give you a better chance of your college still having space for you if you're admitted into Texas A&M. So just keeping that in mind, if you have a couple colleges in mind, definitely lean towards the applying earlier. I say try to get in the summer, at least before October 15th. Before our December deadline. So the earlier, the better.
Drexel University.
Thanks. So for me, I would say use your resources. So that includes us. Don't be afraid to reach out to the college that you're interested in. Use all the virtual opportunities that are available right now that have popped up during COVID. This has not been an easy year, but that's been a good thing that's come from all of this. If you're coming from farther away, it's easier to engage with the school now. And then use your resources with your college counselors. They know so much. If you have a school that you're really interested in, say in California, you can ask your counselor, hey, do you know of any out-of-state schools that are similar? Maybe a school that you've driven through and you thought this campus looks great, but maybe I don't want to stay in California. Or you have a major you're interested in, ask your counselor, what schools do you know that have this major? So just use your resources. Remember that everyone around you is there to help. We want to support you.
Colorado State.
All right, I'm going to say two things, I guess. The parent side of me is try to come up with a realistic budget of what you think you can, what you and your family can afford for your college education. That can be helpful on even like applying for scholarships and also knowing what the exact cost of the institutions that you're looking at, just kind of knowing what the tuition and the cost of attendance is. And then second, I think one of the best resources at any college campus is try to check out the college catalog and see what classes you actually have to take for the major that you're interested in. Because if those classes really interest you by reading the course description, that's a good indication that that might be a major you want to go into, or it might help you realize that, oh, I don't want to go into this major.
DePaul University.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think my suggestion is that as you're applying to schools, later on this year, is to kind of take your proverbial airplane up to 30,000 feet and look at your application from a larger perspective. I think a lot of times it's really easy to get hung up on what your essay looks like, what your, and really specifically focus on like, do I have a hook? Do I, am I answering the question? Those types of things. Of course, that is important. You should answer whatever question is posed to you, but there is so much more and so many other ways you can share about yourself and your story as you're applying to schools. So make sure every piece of you that you feel like is really important is represented somehow, whether you're talking about it explicitly in the essay, in your activities, or maybe a counselor, a coach, a teacher is talking about it in a letter of recommendation.
Thank you for those answers. And now we'll move on to a second question. This one is a more fun question. The first question is, kind of eat your vegetables. This is a little more fun, and it's your favorite event or tradition on campus. And we'll start with Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I think my favorite tradition is actually a person. His name's George P. Burdell. He started with us back in 1927 and very quickly earned a mechanical engineering degree, but has gone on since that time to earn a degree in everything that we offer. He's served in every major world conflict since World War II. I think kind of the peak of his accomplishments were in 2001. He made Time Magazine's Person of the Year shortlist. So he actually went to the online polling as it was winning before Time Magazine found out something that everyone at Georgia Tech knows. George isn't real. He was invented by a student in the 20s who received 2 paper applications to Tech. So he filled out one for himself and made someone up. And when they both got admitted, he made sure to register George for classes, got his friends to take tests and turn in homework in George's name. So he actually did graduate without us realizing he wasn't real back in 1931. He still makes his way around campus, even with online course registration. We've got a campus full of hackers that find a way to get him registered for classes every single semester. So George P. Burdell is definitely my favorite tradition at Tech.
Texas A&M.
That's great. My favorite tradition at Texas A&M would be the Corps of Cadets. So I was a student at Texas A&M and I was a member of the Corps. And basically it's a military style organization at Texas A&M. We're one of 6 senior military colleges in the nation. And so we prepare students to either go into the military as officers or to get a leadership certification. So I chose a leadership certification, but this is my favorite tradition because the Corps is like the keepers of the spirit at Texas A&M, which means we keep up with the tradition. So we make sure we attend every single football game. We do go to Silver Taps. We are a big part of that, which is honoring Aggies who have passed away within that month. And we just make sure that the traditions stay alive at Texas A&M.
Drexel University.
Yeah, so one of my favorite traditions on campus is actually when it snows. We are an East Coast school, so we do get snow. Not tons, but we get it. So when it snows, students go to the Philadelphia Art Museum, which is not far off campus. If any of you have seen the movie Rocky, or I have any parents here who have seen Rocky, you'll know that there's a huge staircase up the front of the art museum, and students actually will go sledding down the stairs, which I am very non-adventurous. I would not be brave enough to do that, but apparently it's a ton of fun. So that's one of my favorite campus traditions.
Colorado State.
Yes, one of the traditions as a student is kind of behind me, up in the foothills of the mountains. There's a mountain where a rock juts out, and it's called Horsetooth Rock, Horsetooth Mountain, and it's a tradition while you're a student to try to hike up there almost really as many times as you want, and it's a nice hike, just a few miles outside of campus, and you can get nice views of Fort Collins and the Eastern Plains of Colorado.
DePaul.
Absolutely. So one of the things that I love about our campus is how we really lean into the holidays. We're on the quarter system, and our students take their finals right before Thanksgiving, and then they have a 6-week-long winter break, which is, I think, a great way to celebrate the holidays in and of itself. But the city of Chicago celebrates a lot with the CTA kind of holiday train. You can see this very wildly bedecked train going through. You can make a plan to write it yourself. You can sit with Santa Claus on the train if you would like to as well. And the L stop runs literally directly next to our campus and drops you off within a block of all of our campus buildings downtown. So you can really enjoy that kind of, romantic, snowy, fun Chicago holiday experience as a student.
In the last couple minutes, we have time for one more question, and this one also a fun one. An interesting or fun fact about your school, Georgia Tech.
Yep. So one of our newest buildings is called the Living Building. It's actually built to satisfy the Living Building Challenge, which is the world's strictest, highest goal setting in terms of sustainable buildings. This thing is engineered from top to bottom. It harnesses more energy than it uses. So it actually has positive output on our campus. I'll make sure to put the link in the chat, but just the fact that not only the construction and the engineering and the water supply aspect of it, but it's also socially engineered to be a really inclusive space. Everyone was thought about when they came with this building. So I'll put the link in the chat, but the Candida building is definitely, I think, one of our funnest new additions.
Texas A&M.
I would say a fun fact for Texas A&M is how we got our mascot. If you haven't seen her, she's a cute little puppy collie called Reveille. And our first Reveille was actually founded by some good old Ags who saw a stray dog. They were all in the Corps because everyone was in the Corps back in the day. And they picked up Miss Reveille at that moment, and they named her Rev because every time the bugle would sound in the morning, she would wake up too and go barking down the hallways. But ever since then, we would do, it's a very big process we're actually going through right now, but we pick a Reveille almost every 4 years. She's a beautiful collie, show dog. And this year we're in the process of retiring one and getting another. So if you're on campus soon, you'll see 2 Reveilles around. So pretty cool.
Drexel University.
Yeah, one of our fun facts, and there are many, but is actually related to some of our notable alumni and things you may be very familiar with that our alumni have created. So for instance, the barcode, anytime you go to the store and you buy something, Drexel alumni, 2 Drexel alums created the barcode. The green bean casserole that you might have at Thanksgiving, Drexel alum. So lots of fantastic things that you can thank Drexel for when you buy things at the store or when you're eating yummy food.
Colorado State.
Yes, one of the most recent kind of fun facts was over 1/3 of our classes have a sustainability focus to them, and that was a question on Jeopardy within the last couple of years, so that was kind of neat.
And DePaul University.
Yes, absolutely. Well, now I'm thinking about green bean casserole in addition to deep dish pizza. But I would say one of our fun facts, or something that I really love about DePaul, is that I think, we're very serious about what we do, but we don't take ourselves too seriously. So as an example of that, we are a Catholic school, but our mascot is the Blue Demon. And that comes from when we were when we actually had a football team kind of back in the day. We don't anymore, but they wore big jerseys with a huge D on the front of it. And they would say the D-men are coming down the field. And that over the years kind of transformed into the Demons, and then specifically the Blue Demons. So we like to have a little fun as well.
Well, thank you all for sharing the fun facts and your advice and all of the great information about each of your institutions. I want to thank our attendees for joining us for this session. When you close this window, there'll be a link to a very quick 4-question survey. We'd appreciate any feedback you can provide. Also, this is just one of many sessions being hosted. There's another one coming up in about 15 minutes, so be sure to sign up for more if you haven't done so already at the same place you signed up for this one. And in about a week, you'll be able to find this session's recording as well as all of the other session recordings at strivescan.com/RACC. Once again, thank you to all of our panelists for participating in this and sharing such great information. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. Take care.
Thank you.